And we are off. We are ready to begin on this Tuesday in October. You guys getting ready for Halloween? Who's getting ready for Halloween? Anybody? Halloween's around the corner. What's it, in a week or so? I always intend to dress up for Halloween, but it never really happens. So today we're doing vocabulary. Tomorrow morning, Adrian will be doing the webinar. And tomorrow will be at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock East Coast time. You guys do the math wherever you are in between. See if Adrian's online. Adrian, you there? If you're there, just confirm you're doing the webinar tomorrow morning. Okay, but for the rest of us that are here, the first word on the board is tenancy and common. So today we're doing vocabulary. The first word on the board is tenancy and common. What do you guys got for me about tenancy and common? Okay, so tenancy in common. Oh, thank you, Nicole Berry. I appreciate it. You make me blush. Okay, so tenancy in common has no right of survivorship. So there's two ways you guys can own property. Let's back up for a second. There's concurrent estates, and if it's not concurrent, what's it called? When you don't have a concurrent estate, what's that called? What's it called when it's sole ownership? So concurrence with other people. What's it called when it's sole ownership? What do you guys think? Okay, when it's sole ownership, that's severalty. Nice job, Rachel. So that's severalty. So severalty represents sole ownership. If you don't know that, you should write that down. So you have ownership in severalty, and you have concurrent estates. Now, there's only really one way you can own a property in severalty, by yourself. I mean, there's not a lot of variety there. Right, guys? But concurrent estates, there's many different ways that you could have a concurrent estate. Now, these vary as per the state you're in, especially when it comes to marriage laws. This could vary quite a bit. But the two that are very common that cross all state lines is tenancy in common and joint tenancy. That's why we discuss in these webinars. We don't get into state-specific stuff, so we're probably not going to touch on anything relating to marriage. But tenancy in common and joint tenancy, no matter what state you're in, you got to know what that is. Tenancy in common is, as it says, the more common one. That's the one that you're going to see more typically. Why? Well, because it's not as restrictive. You see, for a joint tenancy, you need 4 unities. Who knows what those 4 unities are? What are the 4 unities needed for a joint tenancy? Any of you guys know? What are those 4 unities you need for a joint tenancy? Who knows the answer to that? So Lex Sereno says to tip. Good. Time, title, interest, and possession. So you need complete unity of those different items. And you see, for a tenancy in common, you don't need that. You only need one of those for a tenancy in common. You just need possession. Okay? So it's much less restrictive. Traditionally, joint tenancy, you do with somebody you're very close with because you're going all in with them. Whereas tenancy in common, you share possession, but the percentage of ownership of the property could be different, and there's different things that could be different. And the big thing with the tenancy in common is if you die, then you could will it to your heirs because there's no right of survivorship. As opposed to a joint tenancy, which has that right of survivorship, meaning that if you die, the other joint tenant gets that property because they have that right of survivorship. Everybody got it? If you got it, right, got it. Okay, if you understand what I'm talking about, right, I got you. All right, so tenancy in common, as we discussed, does no right of survivorship, only as union of possession. Joint tenancy has time, title, interest, and possession, and is that right of survivorship. So my question for you guys would then be, which one would you take with a corporation? Which one would you take with a corporation? Would you take a joint tenancy or tenancy in common? Okay, so the answer would be tenancy in common because a corporation does not die. You guys are amazing. Abandonment. What does abandonment mean? Abandonment. Abandonment. Tom Hanks would not abandon Wilson in the movie Castaway. Okay, so it's voluntary given the rights and responsibilities. So maybe my Tom Hanks example wasn't a great one. I forgot his name in the movie. He didn't play himself as Tom Hanks. He had a name in that movie. Oh well. So abandonment is when you relinquish your rights. So basically, if you have a lease and you abandon it, you no longer have those rights to that property. Great emoji, Lex Serrano. Does anybody not like that movie? Everybody likes that movie. Okay, moving on. Unilateral contract. Unilateral contract. Unilateral contract. What's that? Unilateral contract is one promise. I would like you guys to give me an example of a unilateral contract. Give me an example of a unilateral contract. Who could do that? One promise, like a reward for a dog. That's a good one. Okay, an open listing is a good one. These are all great examples of unilateral contracts. As opposed to a bilateral contract. Who could give me an example of a bilateral contract? A bilateral contract. So bilateral contract has two promises. So bilateral contract would be an exclusive right to sell. Here's an example of a bilateral contract. Everybody ready for this one? You and I are in one right now. When you paid money to the PrepAgent website, you made a promise to pay, and you paid. And therefore, Adrian, Arthur, and I promised to provide you with online access to our website and access to these webinars right now. Okay, so that was bilateral. So we are in a bilateral contract. You promised to pay, and we promised to provide you with the resources that we have available to help you pass the exam. Okay, so it's bilateral. Okay, move on. So unilateral. My jokes are free. It's not part of the contract. Okay, release clause. Thanks, Lex. Thanks, Bridget. Okay, what's a release clause? What do you guys think? It kind of is what it sounds like. What do you guys think of release clause? This one's a little tougher. Who knows? Releasing the contract, release from some action. Okay, so it's a clause in a blanket mortgage which gives the property owner the right to pay off a portion of the debt, thereby freeing a portion of the property from the mortgage. So that one's a little tougher. This comes up with more like developers. Your average person doesn't deal with this a whole lot. So somebody who wants to build lots and lots of properties, they could borrow against multiple properties to get a bigger loan. Then as they pay off the loan, certain properties are released. Okay, it's called the release clause. Much more popular with things like construction and things of that nature. That was a tough one. Okay, panic selling. Panic selling. What do you guys think about panic selling? Panic selling. Panic selling is much like panic peddling and blockbusting. It's a way to get people to sell their house by using discriminatory practices, basically saying those people are moving to town, you better sell. Okay? And that's right. It's a violation of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Next word, servient tenement. Servient tenement. Like it says, no matter what, just choose 1968. I always said that, and then somebody actually saw a different number once, and they sent us an angry email. So just be aware, there is a chance, but generally speaking, that's totally correct, and that person stinks. Ruined Adrian's day by sending that angry email. Okay, so you have a servient tenement and a dominant tenement. Servient tenement, by the way, this has to do with easements, obviously. When somebody's crossing over a property. The servient tenement is the one being crossed on. The dominant tenement is the one where they're going to. Think about it, they're serving their purpose. They're walking on that property. Okay? So a dominant tenement, all right, is the one where they're walking to the property. Sometimes people get that confused because typically the servient tenement is much larger than the dominant tenement. And you think, well, they're serving the dominant purpose, but you got to think they have it because the servient tenement is very often a large piece of land, and the dominant tenement is a small property behind that land. I mean, you got to think, if it was small, you wouldn't need an easement to cross it. You could just go around it. But these large properties that take up a lot of land, you need an easement to cross it. Does that make sense? So servient tenement is the one burdened by the easement, it's one being crossed. Is an easement an encumbrance? Is an easement an encumbrance? Is an easement an encumbrance? Yes, an easement is an encumbrance. Is an easement a lien? Is an easement a lien? Is an easement a lien? No. Is a lien an encumbrance? Is a lien an encumbrance? Yes, a lien is an encumbrance. Remember, liens have to do with money when you owe money. We like to say lien money, lien money, lien money, lien money, lien money, money, lien, money, lien, money, lien, money, lien. Sometimes there's a lot of fun memory techniques. Sometimes you just got to say the word like a gabillion times in your head. People say, what's my memory technique for lien? I look them dead in the eye and go, lien money, lien money, lien money, money, lien, money, lien, money, lien. And they look at me like, what? That was crazy, but I totally remember it now. Thank you. Okay, unenforceable contract. Unenforceable contract. Okay, so an unenforceable contract. A contract which cannot be enforced in the court of law. Is an unenforceable contract the same as a void contract? What do you guys think? Is an unenforceable contract the same as a void contract? What do you guys think? No. A void contract is a contract that lacks one of the four essential elements of a contract. An unenforceable contract can have those four essentials, but it needs to be in writing. Remember, not all the contracts need to be in writing. That's why writing is not one of the 4 essentials of a valid contract, because not every contract needs to be in writing. But if a contract does need to be in writing and it's not, it would be unenforceable, not void. Does everybody get that? Was that a little tricky? Hopefully I explained that well. Okay. So you have that unenforceable versus void, and that's the basic difference there. Good job, everybody. Devise. What does the word devise mean? What does the word devise mean? Devise is a transfer of real estate by will or last testament. And the person receiving it would be the devisee. Remember our OREE rule? Who knows our OREE rule? James says, so it's only valid when it is documented or in writing. No, that's it. It could be valid without it being in writing. There are contracts that do not need to be in writing. Okay, the OREE rule. Sing it with me, everybody. Ready? Go. Lessor, vendor, optionor, grantor, the giver, the proprietor for your pleasure. Lessee, vendee, optionee, grantee, gives me property, makes me happy. I hope you guys have that memorized and downloaded in iTunes. Okay, I know that sounds ridiculous and stupid, but when you pass, you'll be totally excited when you hear it in your head. Everybody else will be struggling. You'll be like, let's see, vendee, optionee, and you'll look at everybody else and be like, losers, haha. Piss off, I'm passing, beat it. So, where does this get confusing? It confuses a lot of people with mortgagor and mortgagee. As you guys know, it's one of my pet peeves, a mortgagor and mortgagee. Why is it one of my pet peeves? Because certain real estate teachers say that's an exception to the rule. Have any of you guys had a teacher in your live class who said that's an exception to the rule? If you guys have a teacher who says that, look them dead in the eye, give them a dirty look, and say, Joe hates you. Okay? Why do I hate it? Because there is no exception to the rule. It's a suffix. What they're confusing is what's being given. They're thinking in terms of the money, but before the money happens, there needs to be a promissory note, evidence of the debt. And the mortgagor is the one who gives that promissory note, that evidence of the debt. And then the mortgagee receives that promissory note, and then they give the money. So when they say, well, it's an exception to the rule because the mortgagor receives money, then you got to think, well, it's an exception to the rule because you suck as a teacher, and Joe's better. Okay? Well, you don't need to say exactly that. Well, you can if you want. I don't care. I'm never going to meet him. All right, so mortgagor is the giver, mortgagee receives, and what they're giving is that promissory note. Am I being harsh? Am I being harsh? I feel like I'm being harsh. Am I being that guy who sounds extra tough because I'm behind a screen? Okay, well, we're amongst friends, right, guys? We're not going to tell everybody. It's not like I'm calling them out specifically. Okay, hold harmless clause. Hold harmless clause. I just get so frustrated when I hear that. Hold harmless clause. What do you guys think that is? Nice job, Malu. He says, also known as a liability clause. Way to step up. You've been studying. I can feel it. Your answer is getting better since the first time you attended the webinar. Man, respect the hustle. Put in the work. Good job. Hold harmless clause is a statement in a legal contract asserting that an individual organization is not liable. It basically prevents you from liability as an agent, so you don't get sued for stupid things. Okay, a net listing. Net listing. What do you guys think? I know many of you guys are going to write, legal in my state, illegal in my state. Just tell me what a net listing is. What is it by definition? What do you guys think? So a net listing is when you get paid above and beyond a designated amount, okay? So what happens is if you agree to list the home for $500,000 and the house sells for $550,000, you get $50,000. Why is this illegal in many states? And the states where it's not illegal, it's heavily frowned upon? Well, because there's a conflict of interest there. Because if an offer comes in for $500,000, you're sitting there looking at it, be like, well, I'm supposed to give them the offer, and because that's my fiduciary duty. But if I do that, I just did a lot of work for 6 months. I'm getting paid diddly. I'm getting nothing. So there's that conflict of interest. Okay, and that's why it's either frowned upon or just straight up illegal. Okay. And the reason why people always answer it's legal or illegal in their state is because it differs from state to state. Eminent domain. Eminent domain. Sounds so scary. Sounds like something out of Star Wars. Like, I feel like when Darth Vader had, like, the Death Star, it was just, like, a whole lot of eminent domain going on. Remember that's how Star Wars started, with the Death Star going across the screen? Okay, eminent domain is when they take the property for public use. My question of the day will be, what is the difference between eminent domain and police power? What is the difference between eminent domain and police power? What do you guys think? Eminent domain and police power. So eminent domain is just compensation must be paid. Police power, they don't take the property away from you, they tell you how to use it. Examples would be like zoning and building codes. Whereas eminent domain, they could take the property away from you, and therefore just compensation would be paid, and they would pay you through this process of condemnation. And if they don't pay you, you could sue the government in a process called inverse condemnation. Everybody got that? So the 4 government powers are what? What are the 4 government powers? Eminent domain, police power, escheat, and taxation. And when we talk about a fee simple absolute estate, we say nothing's truly absolute because you are limited. Well, that's what you're limited by. You're limited by those government powers: police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Has everybody got that? You guys ever see the movie Clerks, where they talk about the guys who work on the Death Star, if they're independent contractors or if they're salary employees? Kind of entertaining if you've never seen it. Okay, you guys better get this one right. It's my pet peeve. If you don't get this right, I'm going to cry. What do you guys think? They're the lender. Why are they the lender? They're not receiving money. Why are they the lender? Why is it an EE if they're the ones giving money? Don't let me down, folks. Nice job, Nefertiti-Wasun. They are the receiver of the promissory note. That's a name I'm not going to say 10 times in a row. That's a tough name. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. Nefertiti-Wasun. Sounds like an awesome name, though. Wish I had a name like that. Be cool. Okay, so a mortgagee receives the promissory note. They receive the promissory note. And they will not give you money until they get that note, so they know that you are putting up that collateral. Let's get a good one up here. Fee simple estate. What's a fee simple estate? Fee simple estate. What do you guys think? Fee simple estate. Looking for the sky, save me. Is no estate inheritance, fee simple absolute. This is the maximum degree of ownership. It's a freehold estate. What is the difference between a freehold estate and a less than freehold estate? Who knows? By the way, how's my sound today? My connection good? My connection's been great the past few months. It's a little dicey last week, but other than that, I feel like I could sing an opera to you guys and it would sound like I'm just belting out beauty. Okay, so fee simple estate is freehold estate, and we said that's unlimited ownership, whereas less than freehold estate would be like a lease. What are the 4 types of less than freehold estates? Who knows? What are the 4 types of less than freehold estates? James says, isn't a fee simple or freehold the same thing? Good question, James. Fee simple is a type of freehold estate. Okay, so less than freehold estates, the examples would be estate for years, periodic tenancy, estate at will, and estate at sufferance. Nice job, everybody. 1031 tax-deferred exchange. We have a video coming out on this really soon. It'll be amazing. It's going to become like a cult classic, just like Clerks. Wait for it. I'll probably win a Razzie Award. I'm not even sure what that is. I think it's for bad movies. Okay, 1031 tax-deferred exchange is when you sell one property and take the money from that old property and put it into a new one. And you put it into a new property. Okay, and by doing that, you defer paying taxes. You only pay the money until the money's in your hand. So if you put it into another property, you have to pay. And in doing that, you have 45 days to identify a new property and 180 days to close the deal on it. And that's a 1031 tax-deferred exchange. Remember, 45 days to identify, 180 days to close, and it's 180 days total. So it's not 45 and then another 180, just so you guys know. Okay, Blanca has a good little definition in there. Nice job, Blanca. Okay, what is an emblement? What is an emblement? Emblements are crops. Good. Good job, everybody. They are crops. Fructus industrialis. Nice job, Liviu Bologan. That is actually a more technical way to say it, but I just don't know whoever says fructus industrialis. Use that in a conversation. See what kind of reaction you get. Say, I'm eating corn today. You mean fructus industrialis? I'm like, yeah, that too. Okay, cost replacement approach. What is the cost replacement approach? Cost replacement approach. Okay, so that is an appraisal approach where you're looking to see how much it would cost to replace something brand new. Malu says, thank you, John. I'm really improving on my vocab. I could tell you're doing great. If I could give you a fist bump, I would. Somebody do a fist bump emoji for me. Quick, before we lose our moment. Otherwise, it'll be like kissing somebody on the cheek 10 minutes late, and then that's just weird. Okay, so the cost replacement approach is an appraisal approach with how much it costs to replace a brand new. So would this work better for an old building or a new building? An old building or a new building? Do you guys ever try that? Kiss somebody on the cheek on a delay. Everybody walks in, says hello, and then they do like the handshake, kiss on the cheek, hug. And you just do it like on a 5-minute delay. It's totally makes things awkward. You're just like, I forgot to do it when I walked in the door, so I'm doing it now. Hope you don't mind. Mwah. Okay, cost replacement approach. It'll work better on a new building because an old building you'd have to factor in depreciation. And factoring depreciation can be really difficult. So this is better for things like special purpose properties. What are special purpose properties? Libraries, religious places like synagogues, churches, mosques, things of that nature, police stations, schools, fire station, things like that nature. Those are special purpose properties because they're not there to bring in income and they don't have comparables. Marginal tax rate. What's that? Marginal tax rate. Marginal tax rate is the next dollar earned. Next dollar earned. It's a tax on the next dollar earned. Okay. A deed. A deed. What is a deed? A deed would be something for, if you always want an example for a marginal tax rate, it has to do with tax codes to get you into the next tax bracket. So if you make more money, you pay more taxes. That's what it has to do with. Okay, so a deed is evidence of a transfer. Evidence of a transfer. Okay, good. Exclusive authorization and right to sell listing. What is that one? What does that mean? Exclusive authorization and right to sell listing. So an exclusive authorization and the right to sell listings. Throw out as many facts as possible about it. Let's see it, guys. See how much we know about this. Let's try and throw out lots of facts. So one, here's one. It's an employment contract. Two, it's a bilateral contract. Three, you're employed to find a buyer. 4, you don't have to prove that you're the procuring cause of the buyer. Can I pull off 5? Oh no, I'm feeling pretty good at 4. Anybody else got anything more? I feel pretty good about myself with that 4. Here's 5. No termination date needed. No termination date. No, excuse me. It needs a termination date. My bad. It needs a termination date. It has to have a termination date. No need of procuring cause. Must have a termination date. Bilateral contract. Employment contract. And you're employed to find a buyer. A lot of stuff right there. I feel like it's a pretty healthy amount of information. Franchise. What's a franchise? A franchise is a business that functions under a certain marketing plan. Who could give me an example of franchises? Give me an example of franchises. Ready, go. McDonald's. Keller Williams, there you go. Nice. Dunkin' Donuts. Century 21, thank you. I feel like you guys are either naming like really low-end fast food or real estate companies. Let's go with the real estate companies. Okay, real estate companies, there's a lot of franchise. Keller Williams, Remax, Century 21. They buy that marketing plan. They function that marketing plan, but it is owned by different people. It's owned by different people. Okay. So that's that for today, guys. You guys did great today. Nice job, everybody. I will not be here tomorrow. Adrian will be there tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be visiting my mother and all her friends who are above 80. I will not be doing that delayed kiss thing I told you about before. Because they love that greeting kiss. It's so awkward. You know how when you sometimes kiss people and you see them, you don't really do it. You just put your cheek to cheek and you do an air kiss and you're just like, mwah, nice to see you. You don't really do it. I notice seniors don't put up with that. They want like the full contact. So they always grab my face. They're like, come here, it's been so long. And they just lay it on me. It's always like, oh, so awkward, gross. But I put up with it, makes them happy. Got to respect the seniors, you know? So that's tomorrow. All right, guys, we'll have an amazing day. Hope you guys learned something. For Adrian and Joe, talk to you guys later. Bye.